In a world filled with conflict, in a universe comprised of differences, there's one thing that absolutely everything shares in common. We all exist. Including two guys named Jack and Michael, who like to chat about that very thing over a good cup of coffee. Let's pay them a visit, shall we?
Existence Brewing.
Tiff, all right. Hey, do you guys have those bear cups? The ones where the bear is actually like, he looks like he's kind of masturbating his cup there. Do you guys have those? The holiday ones that are so you don't have those. Okay. Is he really doing that, or you don't know? Okay. Sorry, Tiff. Thanks.
What were you doing to her?
What was I doing to her? You act like I assaulted her. Nothing. I was asking about those bear cups, the ones that are going for $300 and $400.
Oh yeah, the baristas.
Here at Existence Brewing, because it's not that kind of place. They're not going to purposefully manufacture something in China that is of limited supply and poor quality that they'll then be able to get a run on in their stores.
Jack, we don't have those here. We are anti those because this isn't one of those places. Is that what she said?
Yeah, something like that. What do you suppose the unit cost is on those bear cups? I mean, this is the world we live in. Here's some basic economics for youngsters that are going into middle school or right around there where they start learning about how math applies to the real world as far as monetary.
Well, it'd probably depend on what country they manufacture them in. I'm going to say 35 cents.
35
cents.
It's another episode of The Price is Wrong as far as world commerce is concerned. Okay, we'll go with that. I was going to say about $2 actually, when you count in shipping from overseas and all these other costs associated. But let's just say it's a fair enough range. 35 cents to $2 unit cost each, depending on how many tariffs that guy, I can never remember his name, that one guy has put on them lately. The guy
like
keeps
an
putting all
animal
the tariffs
from
on
the zoo.
them.
She's so nasty. Look at her.
Yeah, him. That guy right there. Yeah. So anywhere from 35 cents to $2, depending on how many tariffs that guy has put on, things coming in from overseas lately. And then retail $29.95 at the coffee mermaid behemoth near you.
Black market.
Sold out within, 45 minutes at every location nationwide, and now going for $300 on eBay. So you gotta, you gotta love humanity and in its current place and things. And the last thing I want to do is fill up any more time in another episode about this. We did that enough the last time.
Well, I'd say a good, healthy 3,000% margin is probably around there. Yeah, I would say probably $2.90 is probably what the hard cost on something like that is. And the unit cost probably includes shipping it from Wuhan and includes the container, because you got to get that in there as well.
Yeah, I think next year Starbucks should probably come out with a bear that isn't drinking his own little cute cup of coffee, but instead a series of 8 to 10, maybe a dozen bears that are actually in positions that exemplify those of the workers in the factories where those fucking things are made in China for 12 cents an hour. I think that you'll find that people would actually think it rivals the old, Starbucks bear in Pompeii when Vesuvius blew set, as people are curled up in the fetal position after not having been given a work break for 19 hours under their fucking desk,
Or the guy who has to use his feet with the paintbrushes because he has to do so many units a minute.
Oh, right, exactly. So some of the ones have irregular eyes because of the foot painting.
Well, no, don't get
I
me wrong. He's very good at what he does. He just has to do it in a very unconventional way.
So ambidextrous, to be ambidextrous means you're able to equally apply skill and deftness with both arms, both hands.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a term for being able to do that with all of your limbs, legs and arms, but I don't remember what it is. So bonus points if you email us and tell us what that word is, because I know it exists.
A la
Before
omnius dextrous.
omnidextrous, that could be it.
Omnidextrous.
That actually could be it. I think you're on to something. Earlier today, you mentioned you'd heard my radio show.
Yeah,
Working
and what a
with a
fine
partner.
program that is. I love your sidekick too. He's very nice to listen to. He has a good set of
Well,
pipes, as they say.
He has better
in the
pipes
industry.
than I do. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just
Oh,
say
I would.
that. I would just say that he gels well with you.
We're from the same era, and we sort of like the same things. I think we're
I
just
can
enough,
totally get that.
I think we're just enough the same. I think honestly, if I had to pick a perfect marriage for a partner, I'd say on the radio, I'd say that we're a little too much the same. I'd love to see us be even a little bit more different from each other in some ways, but I think we're enough the same that it works, and then we're enough different that we have things that we meander in and out of.
Oh yeah,
But
you definitely need one of those corporate types from the sales department. I think I know one of those salespeople. In fact, I think maybe you should have him also on the morning show.
oh god,
Maybe he
we're
could
talking
fill
about
in.
the same person. I think he and I have done radio
Yeah.
before, and
Yeah, I mean, you guys-
that one. I thought you were talking about the other one. The
what's wrong with the barista? I mean, come on, man. You got a problem with teddy bears?
and then the answer from the other guy I'm thinking about is, something like, "Yeah, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't buy the barista unless it was connected to a woman with a 36-inch bust that I could stay with for an hour at the Motel 6 next door." So
I was
yeah,
going to say that would be another idea
you-
for a holiday. You could call it the barista calendar.
Oh yeah, true. Well, anyway, he does have a great set of pipes. He's no Shadow Stevens. I mean, let's be honest, but he does have that great voice. But the problem is, I would prefer honestly my voice, because women, and this is true, women actually called him about the first month or so that we worked there. I told that story, I think, on the podcast, if I'm not mistaken. So he was getting a lot of love from the ladies, talking about how great his voice was. I would still take mine only because it's versatile. I mean, I can actually do.
You sound like the
It's all-
everyday man.
It's all subjective, but I mean, if you dislike me, you have to kind of give me credit for being able to do a handful of impressions well. If you really think I'm nifty, then you're going to give me dozens and dozens that I try to pull off. So I would rather have the versatility of voice than just the classic disc jockey announcer that can't possibly go any higher than this. We were talking about jobs that we'd had, and he has had a checkered quilt of jobs in his. I mean, his past is just he's really had no one chosen vocation. And I've worked in broadcast media for 26 straight years now. He's been in and out of it for about the same amount of time. And then prior to that, he's had lots of other jobs. So he was telling me about this job he had because some idiot whipped up one of those clickbait stories from another station that got stuck on our stations. And it was about the top 11 jobs that people want in our state. Least most desirable to most desirable that we had the biggest problem with, because he put chocolatier at number one. As I said, what's the one thing everybody wants to be but doesn't even know it yet because they just want a golden ticket? And it's not so much, it's fantastical. See, that's the thing. And we're talking about how this applies to the cold, dark vacuum we know as commerce and what our place is in it, because all of us have a place in it. Even people that have phenomenal sounding jobs where I have lots of fun, they still answer to the IRS. They still answer to somebody, even if it's just a general audience. If they're a podcaster or an influencer or something like that. You still have got to, I guess, kowtow in some ways to somebody in order to continue making your money. And, I would guess a lot of people shill out if they're in that independent world. We've talked about that a lot. It's this fanciful idea that, to be a chocolatier, to be Willy Wonka, it's just perfect from head to toe. You get to just basically go around and be as obscenely eccentric throughout the day as is possible and still exist in the world of business enough to be able to rake in billions of dollars from your chocolate factory. So I felt like chocolatier was a ludicrous choice for number one and perhaps didn't even belong on the list of 11 in the first place. So then my partner, of course, trails off into a story about how for a brief while he actually worked for a chocolate manufacturer, a chocolatier. And that's what I'm thinking. Of course you did. There's nothing you haven't done. And the line I think I used on radio was, listen, I'll give you 2 one-word reasons why being a chocolatier is similar to the downfall of being a male gigolo assassin. And that would be...
It's like, well, I've done that too.
well, and I said, and that would be, it's messy and it's too sweet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. It's liable to, if I worked at a chocolatier's, God forbid, Mr. Abstemious me. I mean, even I am going to put on 60 pounds in the first 4 weeks.
Oh, not to mention you'd hate chocolate.
Then also, well, and he couldn't attest to that as much as he went home. I said, but you go home smeared with, it looks like you've been rolling in shit. And he said, yeah, that is true. You go home and there's chocolate everywhere. You're pulling it out of your orifices in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the part that I found funny, I hadn't even thought of this because he's worked in it, so he knows. When I was talking about putting on all this weight, he said, well, we really weren't allowed to touch the chocolate while we were making it. So the, Henry Ford assembly line.
Oh, yeah, you got to be sanitary.
Gag from I Love Lucy, where she's grabbing all of the cherry cordials off the thing, stuffing into her mouth. That's still going to remain the thing of comedy.
I'm sure that scene was probably in the HR video of things not to do.
Yeah, I would guess probably. But what I found funny was he said, but they did send us home every week with all of the irregular truffles.
All the mutants.
I just thought, how many was that is what he said.
This one looks like Jesus.
He said some weeks, especially after, the Super Bowl or New Year's Eve, it was a lot of irregular truffles that would go home with us. And so he said eating those, he got so sick of it after the first week or two. Yeah. At first it sounded like the greatest thing. They're going to send us home with chocolate for free. And then it was like, no more chocolate.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like that would be, that's always the kiss of death of any job, is that you think at first you're like, oh, wow, I get to work at a brewery. Oh, yeah, I get to work at McDonald's. Free food. They pay me practically in food. No, your co-host is definitely he's like the Mike Rowe of jobs. He's worn about every hat there is to wear, and
there's not much he hasn't done.
I would say there's probably not a whole lot of jobs that guy's never held down.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to male phone sex operator yet, but I'm waiting for the day that it comes up on the air because I'm guessing, again, with his husky pipes, he's probably been there.
He's like, yeah, I was young. I needed the work.
I mean, not quite Barry White, but again, still enough to be able to say what needs to be said over the phone and get a reaction for $8.95 a minute.
Well, Steven, what kind of underwear are we wearing today?
So we were also talking recently about, and I'll give him, it's one of those odd shout outs that I'll do. I've always referenced him as an obscure celebrity in times when one is warranted to kind of make a joke, but I honestly am a huge admirer of his work. And you may not have heard of him. He might be slightly before your time, or you may have been too young. But Jim J. Bullock came up on the program recently, and that got me to thinking about Hollywood Squares because he was on the show in the 80s when they did the first reincarnation of that in the late 80s. And so I'll be damned if he doesn't have me going back watching the Hollywood Squares from 87, 88, 89 on YouTube. And it's what a crazy different time that was for TV and just for the world in general. Some of the commercials are laughable by today's standards. And I don't know, it was a better time in some ways, and it was the same time in a less refined way, in a bad way, I would say, than it is now still, with the shit that they push on us and whatnot. But anyway, it was funny that came up recently. And then I go snorkeling back into the days that John Davidson was hosting the Hollywood Squares in the late 80s. Peter Marshall was the original host, of course, but I don't know if he was dead or just too old. They didn't bring him back for the show.
For those of you who maybe don't remember, Jim J. Bullock also played Prince Valium in Spaceballs.
He did. He was Prince Valium in Spaceballs. He didn't say much. In fact, I think he only yawned. Yeah, that was about it. Jim J's great. You got to love his enthusiasm. And he's just his biggest role ever, I think, in TV, it's undoubtedly from a show that aired in the early 80s called Too Close for Comfort. It was I don't remember if it was a spin-off of the Mary Tyler Moore Show or if it was just a show that Ted Knight did after the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but it starred Ted Knight. He was a cartoonist living in San Francisco, and Jim J was the zany, I think he was a neighbor or something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen the show, but he'd pop in and he was one of those kind of side bit characters. But Jim J's great, and he looks fantastic. He's like 70, and YouTube was pitching me some content of him doing recent interviews. And so granted, some of them were 4 or 5 years old, so he would have been like mid-60s, but still it was like, Jesus, I mean, this guy's barely aged, so I don't know what his secret is. So anyway, shout out to Jim J. Bullock. His birthday's in February. He's an Aquarius, so we'll get around to him again. Richard Dawson's birthday today, by the way, so there's another one that needs to go out as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a big Tricky Dicky fan.
I don't know how I'm going to segue from Tricky Dicky to anything.
Okay, well, I can segue.
So back to your co-host. I'm sure he once worked in a bar called the Tricky Dicky. Speaking of tricky, you said that you had an update regarding your insurance saga.
Oh, for my car windshield.
Yeah.
Gosh, this has been a while. Yeah. So, okay. So I know from Hanson, it's like, yeah, quick, right. This will take an hour. So I'll do the
you
best
can just
I
fast forward about 5 minutes and then he'll get to the.
Yeah, exactly. So just why don't you get to enjoy that anymore? Talk about the day. One of the pleasures of analog technology that's gone. Now you just fast forward and see people it's in rapid speed. You don't get to hear the audio before.
Oh, yeah.
So in August, my windshield was fractured by a rock on the highway. The window subsequently split in 2 places. It's a pretty severe crack. Thankfully, I've been able to drive the car without too much problem. But filed the claim, and when I did, I said, OEM glass only. I mean, that's what's broke. That's what I want. And the agent said, absolutely, sure, no problem, sir. We'll get you your OEM glass. So I wait, like a couple weeks, nothing. Call them up. What's going on? Well, and I'm working with the glass place at this point.
Yeah.
So call the glass place. Well, we don't know. We haven't heard. 2-3 more weeks go by. We don't know. We haven't heard. A couple more weeks go by. Hey, we finally heard. Yeah, just as we feared, they've denied your claim for OEM glasses. They already approved it. I said, well, I know, but they're saying that now they're not going to give you that. They're going to give you aftermarket glass, which if you've ever had aftermarket glass in your car, by the way, it's absolutely positively 100% inferior to the factory glass that's in your car. So just a tip from me to you, insurance companies are sons of bitches, but ask for OEM glass. Don't accept anything else and fight them to the bitter end for it. You might not win, but if they approve you at first, you might just get lucky. So anyway, they do this denial and I don't know what to do. And so I basically sit on it for a few weeks. And then me and the lady, really nice woman from the glass company here locally that had been communicating with me, I said, well, look, I don't have much movement for you on this, so I got to crack some heads. I called the claims number, thinking that I was talking to the insurance company. This has been about a month ago now. And at the end of the call, I realized I'm talking to the glass company, but I read them the riot act in a very nice way and said, "You've denied me." And they said, "Well, we're very sorry about this, sir. We're going to get this fixed." And I said, "Wait a minute. Who am I talking to? The glass company or the insurance company?" So this is the glass company. Oh, well, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the insurance company. So never actually did talk to them. Anyway, 3.5 months down the road, that's where we are right now. 3.5 months later, got a call from the nice lady who's been helping me at the glass place here locally. And she said, "I have some fantastic news for you. You won't believe." And of course, it's obvious what it's going to be, other than something like, "Through an unforeseen process of part vehicle, everything's covered. We're sorry." And so I waited the bastards out. And
wow.
it paid off.
That deserves one of these. He waited the bastards out.
Please don't. The windshield could break again.
Oh, okay. I won't play it too loud.
Well, that's okay. Right now, the old glass is still in there. So I got an appointment to go get my glass put in, my OEM glass that I asked for.
Wow. Congratulations. Jack versus the insurance company. Jack versus Flo.
It's one of those. Oh, Flo would be decapitated in quickly, too. There's honestly, as rage fantasies go, there aren't too many that I have that eclipse any insurance like standards. Mayhem, Flo, that guy that's with her now, the redhead, the ginger dude.
My favorite one is the emo one. That's like she barely just got to work on time. She probably didn't even get to work on time. You know which one I'm talking about. I don't even know her character name, but she just always looks so put out. That's my favorite progressive character.
My favorite insurance commercial is the one that they never made. My second favorite is the one I never saw. So, like, I hate all insurance advertising. Hate it with a passion. It's insurance. First of all, it's a legal criminal industry. They regulate themselves. Who made up that? Who decided that?
That's
Name
pretty
me
rich.
Another industry that makes that much money every year that gets to regulate itself.
Just ask
Boy,
their
that
lobby.
might be a problem, don't you think?
Just ask their lobbyist.
And by the way, and this has been a long time now, so this soapbox has been well worn, and it's time to get retreaded. Because, I mean, I was saying this when the first horseshit started to come in from Geico in the early aughts, 25 years ago when we were getting cavemen and this bullshit. It was just like, why is this happening for insurance? These are children's television commercials to sell me sugared cereals on Saturday mornings that I grew up with. This is insurance. This is insane. This is outlandish. You don't even get anything. It's not sweet. It's not delicious. It's not tasty. It's not interesting. It's not fun. It's absolutely fucking monstrously nightmarish. No one wants to buy it. They absolutely make you if you want to own a car or buy a house or do anything.
Oh, yeah. Near your bank.
And they regulate themselves. We all know by now that they train their employees who actually go out and mitigate these claims. Mitigate. Yeah, right. I mean, do anything you can to deny. That is your job. Your job is not to help the customer. Your job is to deny the customer.
Mitigation is just a fancy word for denial. I
am absolutely not going to ever, as long as my conscious mind is of any soundness at all, I will never buy into their bullshit. No hump day camels, no fucking cavemen who get their own TV show for a half a week on Fox television, no Flo, no lizards, nothing.
Any industry that spends that much money on advertising, insurance, cell phone company, pharmaceuticals, be very, very concerned because they're spending a lot of money every year on advertising. And I always feel like that money that they're spending is people like your money. It's Jack's money, and it's people that they're denying coverage for that are buying those ads.
Well, I would love to think that episode, whatever it was, where I first complained about this issue specifically, somehow trickled down to the brass at the insurance company that I have currently, and they, with a mighty harumph, just decided within the boardroom, we need to fix this fella's windshield.
Who
get it
sent
his
you?
OEM, so we don't have to answer to any people that he might be changing the minds of, and then we'll deal with, of course, making him wet later, and we'll get our whole surrender. We're obviously tied in with the CIA. How can big insurance not?
Sir, there are these podcasters that they're making some ground, and they're kind of on to us, I believe.
Who sent you?
I think what's funny is that my intuition seems to have actually won out. My intuition seems to have been what was on, because I kept meaning to call the insurance company for weeks and weeks on end and read them the riot act. When I finally did, I actually, like I said, wound up with the glass company. And that was my first cue that, hey, Jack, you may want to back off, because the whole time, all I kept hearing when I would just try to get as quiet as possible about this was, you'll get your OEM glass. You're getting it. You're going to get what you want. So just relax. And I'm like, yeah, but, and so then, the monkey wants to take over. How?
Bubbles.
And it's like, be quiet, be still. You will. And you might not even have to sling shit at them in order to get it. Just be still and listen to our cues. And I feel like, although I did sling a little bit of shit at the walls of my own place, I never flung any in their direction. And it paid off, because I actually at the end did what I was supposed to do. I was patient, and I waited the bastards out. And
they throw the decoy in there just to kind of get your hopes up, and then they that's how they prolong the issue. I want to think that maybe it was this strongly worded letter that they got from your attorney, Bouchard and Bouchard.
Bouchard, yeah.
And they're the ones that actually were the ones who got their attention.
And when asked about who the other Bouchard is, he says, I'm both, damn it. I mean, I'm both. Clearly I'm both. Like, what's wrong with you? So it's the big head and the little head working together to make life right for my clients. So, yeah. By the way, AI's phenomenal recommendation was, you might want to look into getting a different insurance company. Really?
Thanks, ChatGPT.
Pretty amazing.
Thanks, Michelle.
I've been going back. I want to point out this too. You just mentioned ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So I've apparently been calling ChatGPT ChatGTP an awful lot.
It's all right.
I think I'm going to keep doing that.
I think you should.
The reason I must be saying that is because I keep thinking of STP.
Or STD.
You're not supposed to call it that. They're STIs now.
Oh, STIs. Okay.
Aren't they STIs now? Or SDIs or something like that? Sexually transmitted diseases, but they dropped the disease because disease implies that you can't get rid of it.
Or has a negative connotation.
So it's a sexually transmitted infection, STIs.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Your immune system is highly inconvenienced.
That's one way to put it. That's something you'd like to hear from a doctor. Well, Jack, there appears to be nothing incredibly wrong with you. Your immune system is just being tremendously inconvenienced at this time. And by that, I mean you could die within 48 hours. But we're sure glad to have your ass here at Hospital General. That's for sure.
We're going to refer this to your insurance company, and they're going to take everything from there.
Here's one to throw at you, too.
Yeah.
Here's one to throw at you. Just, and I know any old people could do this all day long. And so maybe I should do it in an old person's voice. But so Maddie had her surgery recently. She had a tumor in her head, not in her head, but like up back in between, in her face, like between her teeth and her sinuses, back up in there.
That's wild.
Big one too, bigger than a golf ball. So they got her booked at a hospital in a much bigger city than we live in. She got like the premier guy on the West Coast. So he went in, did his thing, removed it all. She's healing up nicely. Everything's good. So, consultation already covered, like that's already been billed and everything. So just the hospital shit alone, all right, not counting the anesthesiologist because that was separate. Just the hospital shit alone, checking in, sitting there in pre-op for about an hour, going through all this stuff and, getting nasal spray. And let me guess, $12,000. And she said, $56,000.
You didn't even let me guess.
No,
Damn
I'm
it.
sorry. What was your guess going to be?
Mine was going to be actually closer to 120,000.
Yeah, see, that's why I said it, because I figured you're going to go way over. No,
Mhm.
$56,000
It's insane.
for that. So in Michael's mind, we got a bargain. It was a BOGO, get one, buy one, get one. We didn't do the second one because I said no fucking way.
Buy one,
But in
get
my
one.
mind, $56,000 for what she actually received, Charity Care wiped it off the map.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, all of the hospital, everything that wasn't covered by insurance. I mean, maybe I'm even going light, because maybe it was just the stuff that wasn't covered by insurance that was the $56K, and then that's what they wiped. But I was shocked about that, because the standards in the old days, the standards for charity care used to be, if you had a job, if you were gainfully employed, you're fucked. They're not giving you anything.
Yeah.
And Maddie's employed, and she doesn't make a lot of money, but she does okay. They wiped it. So I was like, wow. Anyway.
That's amazing. No, and that's, if I was ever a politician, I would say that, one of my universal stomping blocks would be no one ever wakes up and says, I'm going to get sick today. And that, to me, the blessing that you guys had with receiving that and her receiving the care that she did, she's on the mend. She's on her way back to, better things. To me, that's what should have happened. I mean, there should never be someone who is in a tight spot because Flo decides to, and I know we're saying Flo for just every insurance company, but because Flo decides to not cover something. I mean, no one ever wakes up and says, I'm going to get sick today. And I'm not talking about elective surgeries of, plastic surgery or what have you. I'm talking about just your life is impacted and needs to be made right. And to me, I think universal healthcare in that regard is 100% a given. Everyone should be receiving that.
There's trouble from a health perspective.
They're made to be broke.
They're made to be broke. And we also know that people aren't getting the drugs, even the life-saving medications that they need, or certainly the medications that could make their life much easier, because nobody's going to pay for it. Insurance says no, they don't have the money. And, Big Pharma is going to say, absolutely not. We're here to make as much money as possible, because that's the name of the fucking game. And that's, the problem. So again, my argument would be, let's go to the real issue and just gut capitalism in general and start over again. I know a lot of people don't like that idea because they say, well, then it's just socialism, or it's just another ism that I don't like and I want to shoot missiles at. Well, the problem is that greed is at the heart of every man when it comes to the capitalist system. That's what you have to do. You have to play a big game of Monopoly. Everybody has to outdo the other guy and do whatever they have to survive in that jungle. And we're all made to live in it. And it's insane. It's insanity, because people suffer and die as a result of it. And that's wrong.
Well, and the other thing. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so I'm all for just going and cutting off the head of the beast. But if we're going to stick knives in it, we can at least then just say, all right, fine, you can keep your capitalist game for now until the whole thing caves in, which it is quickly, by the way. But in the meantime, could we at least figure out something? You don't have to call it socialized healthcare, but could we do something to be able to help people when they need it medicinally,
right,
and not have this game be a part of it? Because again, the stroke of, and I don't even know who made this decision, but the stroke of a key in some office somewhere either was responsible for wiping out $56,000, which I can tell you right now is more than she makes in a year, or not. And that, to me, has got to go. We've got to get rid of that. I understand the surgeon and all the people that are involved need to get paid. They're giving their time, obviously, but we've got to figure out a better way to organize our healthcare system.
Yeah, and I'm kind of also of the idea, too, that, why should there be, like you had mentioned, circling back to that self-regulating industry of the insurance companies, why should the insurance companies then be able to hold up a red flag and say, "Oh no, we're not going to cover these people." I mean, you have been receiving these people's premiums. You are in this business. I mean, it's no different than this situation or when there's a big disaster somewhere, i.e. Los Angeles with the big fires that happened down there, and then all of a sudden all these people aren't being covered because it's just like, well, you guys are the insurance company. This is the business that you guys are in, and so why shouldn't you guys cover this? It's that whole mentality of kind of like the too big to fail and just kind of coming up with an excuse as to why, well, now we're going to change the rules of the game because there's been this astronomical large hardship. It's just, the whole thing is ugly.
I can give you an answer to why they're not going to cover your Aunt Tilly's gallbladder surgery that she needs, or she's going to be in pain the rest of her life, or potentially have her life cut short as a result of it. I can answer, any of the questions that might fall in between that with ease as far as why they're denying people. And the answer is exactly the same as to why we have the atomic bomb.
Okay, you tell me, and then I'll tell you what my theory is.
It's because it's the same reason as to why we have the atomic bomb. It's to why we have thousands and thousands of warheads of a nuclear nature right now on the planet that could decimate or destroy the whole fucking thing in the blink of an eye if we wanted to. Because when they started the process to scientifically figure out how to split the atom, they ran into a conundrum. And all of the scientists involved in the Manhattan Project said, hey, if we split this little atom particle thing over here, I think we're going to have a problem. It's going to start a chain reaction that's going to destroy all matter in the universe, and we're all going to go, it's over. And all of them said that was likely to occur. You know what they did? They did it anyway. And do you know why, after being questioned about that post, everything's okay, Oppenheimer and the bunch, you did it anyway. Why? And the answer was because we could. And that's the answer, because we can. So that's still the answer for those that hold the nuclear option. And the insurance industry holds the nuclear option. They regulate themselves. And so Mrs. McGillicuddy's claim comes in. She makes, Social Security money, whatever the case may be, for whatever reason. She needs this medication. She needs this. Is deny. Why did you deny me? I'm in pain. I need help. Because we can, ma'am.
Okay.
That's fucking why. So that's my answer.
That's your card. That's
my card.
Okay. Are you sitting down? Are you ready for this?
I'm seated.
Okay. So going back to what I said, if I was ever a politician, my number one issue would be no one ever wakes up saying that they're going to get sick today. And so therefore they should be receiving that care, and therefore they should be made whole when those kind of circumstances arise, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason we can't do that in their mind is because if we have universal health care, we don't need insurance companies.
It's one fistful of dollars.
Think about that.
Over another.
If we don't have health care costs when it comes to surgeries that need to happen, emerging, whatever, we don't need insurance companies.
Well, but we go back again. We know that insurance is going to be used 1 million times tomorrow, thousands of times at least. There's going to be thousands and thousands of claims filed for broken windshields.
But in that world,
doors and in that world, it's going to be brain surgeries and toenail fungus and all kinds of things.
But I'm just saying, in that world, insurance companies would cease to exist. They can't have that because that's where they make most of their money, is health insurance.
But if these medicinal items that were needed, again, from the smallest ingrown toenail to the mightiest surgery on earth that costs millions of dollars with the most elite specialists in the world involved, if those things weren't so implacable financially, if they weren't so austere to navigate for people financially, insurance can fuck off. we wouldn't need insurance.
But
And
see, that's the
again,
thing.
I take you.
So that in and of itself is the issue that we come up with, is if we don't need the insurance company for healthcare, the insurance company doesn't exist, and therefore the insurance company existing has made the astronomical prices continue to go up because of their existence. You see how that is kind of that, it's that pendulum, and it keeps, they keep each other in balance. And it's just like, why wouldn't we give somebody the healthcare that they need? And that's exactly why, is because if everyone was able to receive the care that they needed, they wouldn't need insurance to pay for it.
Yeah. And that's why I started to back up to the wagon train days. Look, I know it's not Little House on the Prairie anymore, but back in those days, how did you pay the town doctor? The town doctor might have been a doctor, but he wasn't fucking God. Okay. We know that he can save your life, but he does it because it's the right fucking thing to do. And he came here as a healer. He came here to help people. That was his calling in life. That was his mission. So if you want to bake him a pie and, get him a couple of sacks of potatoes when the harvest come in for helping you, defeat your typhoid or whatever the fuck it is, that's what he would gladly take it. And then the rich people obviously would give a little bit more. They would pay the doctor because they had more to give. That's a system that works. But the problem, of course, with that mentality is that capitalism allows for thieves in the night to run rampant all hours of the day.
And the good doctor discovered golf. And now he needs to pay for that golf membership.
What over a very short amount of time began to happen is society told the doctor, hey, you're a doctor. You shouldn't be, down here with the peasants. You can save lives. You're more important than other people.
You need to come up here to Gold City because Gold City is going to pay you more.
And yet that's something that happens every single day in so many different walks of life, is the cashier is put up against the doctor or the CEO or someone who makes more money, all these figures now, because it's easy to weigh. And they say, well, am I really less important? And they say, yes, you are. Get the fuck out of here. We'll call security. It's normal today, but it didn't used to be the case. Things were more equitable and things were more egalitarian and they were more altruistic in days past because it wasn't looked at like this. You didn't do things because I can get rich and live on the hill and be better than everybody else. I'm not saying that there aren't doctors who don't do a lot of pro bono work or fly to Africa to help children that are in need or whatever the case is. I know there's a lot of good people in the world that might be in some high places, maybe a few at least, but the system that they are working under is not operating efficiently. It's broken. And then when insurance comes in, I mean, it's just a middleman, because think about it. My insurance agent has heard, one of my former insurance agents had heard my spiel that, I've given about insurance. And they've said, oh, but you're wrong, Jack. You're not buying nothing because you're buying peace of mind. No, sir, you're wrong. You are buying nothing. I get absolutely zero in return for that check that I write you every month. Zero. And that's what I'm supposed to be buying. The peace of mind you say I'm supposed to be buying is the peace of mind that I'm absolutely robbed of the second I have any problems at all. And by the way, if you do actually say, all right, fine, we will handle your claim and we will see it through and we will help you, give it a month or two and let me crack open that bill. 20% increase. What the fuck is this all about? Well, You had a claim.
Denied.
And this is an industry that actually is able to look at us straight in the face and say, you're unlucky, Michael. And you say, right, but I was in the right lane when the drunken maniac who was off of his his Zofran came barreling at me in the dark with one headlight and crashed headlong into my, and sent me to the hospital and busted up my fucking car and ruined my life, basically, as we know it right now. And you're denying everything. Right. We're denying everything. And we're raising your rates too, because you see, you're unlucky now. You're just unfortunate.
Like, as if you were playing blackjack at a casino.
Yeah, that's how they treat it. One of my favorite lines from The Simpsons is when Ned Flanders' house gets destroyed by the hurricane. It's the only one in town that gets knocked down by the hurricane, the gale that hits Springfield. And everybody's rallying around and say, oh my gosh, Ned, terrible. Well, obviously, you have insurance. They're going to build you an even better house. And his wife, Maud, says, oh, no, Neddy didn't have insurance. He considers it a form of gambling.
Of course he does.
Bingo. Couldn't be more true.
They gotcha. I know that we're just talking about insurance companies, but they say that for the first time ever, the total spending for this holiday season is going to exceed $1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
With a T.
Wow.
And I'm sure that is, obviously Christmas and Hanukkah and all of the religious holidays that fall around this time of year, celebrated by many, not just in the United States, many around the world. And I think also this is probably not just gift giving that's $1 trillion. It's probably also like the food that's associated loosely with this figure, I would imagine. So yeah, exceeding $1 trillion for the first time ever is what they're saying.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, I guess. Why not?
Yeah, it's...
Why not?
Why not? And how many people are on this planet? Do we know?
About 8.2 billion now, I want to say. Somewhere just over 8 bill.
So that would be $100 per person? Would be $1 trillion?
I think so. Wow, you're really testing my decimal point placement.
I'm going to say $100 per person would be $1 trillion.
Okay.
That's about what that equates to.
$100 for every man, woman, and child on Earth.
On Earth. Yeah.
For the gift exchange, for this year's gift
exchange. For the
gift
exchange.
And a lot of them aren't even Catholic or Western. Not even Christians at all. Most of them, actually. So.
Well, and I think it's an interesting idea. My favorite is when people always say things like, well, if you took a football field and you took $100 bills and you put it on a football field, you could stack those $100 bills at least 500 feet high. And that's how many would be how much money would be spent this holiday season. What do they call those? Analogies?
Yeah, it's where they do the physical, if
equation.
You stack it up in cash or if you did it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to probably do much Christmas shopping myself. I know you have kids, so that really changes the game because they come out with their lists every year. And I'll probably buy Maddie some stuff. We typically will, I usually look at things for her throughout the year, but I'm kind of running out of things actually. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I can always put a big old bow on myself and just say, hey, look at that. You get me.
Yeah, you could go to the local car dealership and ask them for one of those big bows that you put on a new car when you give somebody a new car. And you could just say, I need one of those big bows.
And I need somebody to put it on me. And I'm looking at you, lady, right there. You in the red.
No, my wife and I have gotten a lot better at our holiday shopping and our expenses. I got to say, my wife is amazing when it comes to our household budget and just how we deal with expenses in our lives. And I think that kind of also leads into my download that I wanted to maybe
you have
take.
A download this week.
I did. Yeah,
That's sweet. Okay.
And so like this was something that I realized the other day, and I want to say it's just kind of like just to kind of put it into a general category, I would say self-reflection is the thing that I would want to point to on this, because I found that with my wife, and there were things that I maybe didn't take. I guess I would take them for granted. The things that you do as a household, and she primarily does the cooking in our household. And so one of the things that I was talking to a guy at the gym, he's a trainer there, and he was saying that it's really a thankless job. And I was thinking to myself, cooking is a thankless job. It's something that has to happen. And it's something that, for the most part, people don't really like doing it unless, you are.
Yes and no.
It's just one of those things. It's kind of like cleaning the toilet or it's something that kind of has to happen eventually. You could go a long time and things could grow on it, but at some point you're going to have to clean it. And it's not really something that you enjoy doing, and it's a thankless job. Nobody ever really comes up to you and says, "Oh, gee whiz, thanks for making us and our family dinner. Thanks for providing for us." That kind of thing. And so one of the things that I really started thinking about was, how my relationship with my wife has evolved over time. And one of the things that I caught myself doing was I would look at things like cleaning the bathroom. That is actually something that I have done, taken it upon myself to do, is clean our bathroom. Because I know that she doesn't like to do it. I enjoy having a clean bathroom. But
yeah, it's nice.
Instead of, maybe taking the path of saying, well, geez, why isn't our bathroom more clean? I just was like, you know what? I can take the initiative and make this environment better for both of us. And I know maybe you and I were talking about this before, about how you predominantly do most of the cooking in your household. And so maybe that's kind of...
I would say all of it.
Yeah, that seed was planted in me by the trainer. Thankless job. I was realizing that my wife does that. And then I was starting to kind of go, you know what? If I want to make something better in our life, if I want something to be done a certain way, well then, I'm an active participant in this process. And this is something that I really want. And it's not something that she has to do or I have to do, but it's something that I want to do.
Yeah, the recognition that's happening, I think that's probably all I would ask for, is just, the recognition that this person is doing that. Now, Maddie does all the laundry. Mm-hmm. And right now we don't have an in-unit laundry, so she has to take it to the laundromat and do it there. God help her. But, she doesn't complain about it too much. And it's just one of those chores that has to get done. And like you said, she does it because she likes clean underwear. And if it doesn't get done, she doesn't have clean underwear, and that's not okay. And it's the same thing with me and dishes. I don't, particularly like, because I was in a marriage, or a relationship, at least several live-in relationships when I was younger, where the dishes would just get thrown in the sink at the end of every meal, and then they'd stack up for 2 weeks and get absolutely disgusting. And then there'd be a big fight over who was going to do them. And that's ridiculous. So I just started doing them after every meal, which is easy. There are times when I'm tired and it doesn't, it waits until the next day, but they, rest assured, they do get done. We don't have a dishwasher to just throw them in either, with the power of cascade sheeting action.
Well, and I think also, you bring up an interesting point. I think some of the things that learned behavior, especially with our relationships, some of that learned behavior is unfortunately learned by some of the worst examples in our past, which a lot of times is baggage that we carry over from our parents, right?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna archetype our parents first. We're not necessarily going to carry everything that we saw them do into our own relationships, but it's very possible that we might. I think so much of it in the initial stages of a relationship is just learning how much goes into it, because traditionally with most children, things are just provided. If you're in a healthy, happy, thriving, then things just, in my life, they just happened. I mean, I'm sure I did the dishes, but it was rare. There weren't chores like that, and that's why I think it probably would have been a good idea to have those things, because then I would have graduated into a real world, as they say, where it'd be like, okay, I know that dishes need to get done. I'm aware of the fact that laundry has to get done, that these things just don't do themselves. Because it sets up an unrealistic expectation for life and for how clothes stay clean and for how dishes stay clean and a lot of other things.
How houses stay clean. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think communication, I mean, I'm obviously, going to be big on communication. You need to talk with your partner if you're not happy about the division of labor in your own situation or your own circumstance. And then, I mean, if you feel like the person's being fair, then you got to step up. You got to say, look, I'm going to help with this. And you kind of have to put on a rosy attitude about it instead of throwing a fit, because, if you've been used to watching a ball game after dinner for the last 20 years and she's sick of doing the dishes by herself, you're going to have to miss a couple innings, I mean, it's just, to me, that's the right thing to do. But
I like that analogy. Well, and I think maybe the download for me for this week would be self-reflection and being able to identify things that maybe are not right in your life or things that you hold or your partner holds in high priority, and really reflecting on what your role is in making those things possible.
Well, two should be stronger than one any day. And if that doesn't seem to be the case for whatever reason in your partnership, whether it's marriage or romantic or business or friends or roommates or whatever it is, then it's not working to optimum efficiency. One or both of you is not allowing that to happen, because two people should always be much stronger than one. Do I need to spell out examples? I mean, there's a big boulder or there's a car. You need to push it out of the road because it's stalled. You pushing on it, only does so much. A person of just about equal height, weight, strength comes, pushes it. You're able to get twice as much power behind moving it. So,
or to quote Dave Ramsey, a partnership is a ship that doesn't sail. Props on the bumper music today, Jack.
Oh, yeah, you digging that?
Yeah, it was like a good drum line.
Yeah, these, as I recall, these guys are from Down Under. They're called Coma Red. Coma with a K, by the way. The cool Aussie way to spell it.
Nah, that's not a knife. You call that a knife? By the way, I hear you're having some problem with the missus. that was a short that I don't even think we published yet.
No, I don't think so.
I think we need to revisit
soon.
that one. Let's do it. We'll do it. You guys look for that short. The Paul Hogan short.
Look for more shorts, too. There's more shorts coming. More shorts coming off.
More shorts coming off in Existence Brewing.
That's right.
Well, until we meet again, Jack.
All right, until then.
Keep your hands off the HMO.
Stay real, you have no other choice.
Well, it looks like Jack and Michael have finished up their latest chat about all things existence. But if anything they said got your own Existence Brewing, be sure and catch their other talks at existencebrewing.com and drop them an email to share your thoughts using contact@existencebrewing.com.
Existence Brewing.